Some rehabs are considered taboo, even when the substance user or an alcoholic is ready to change. And sending your loved one to the rehab can bring more harm than good. To avoid the heartbreak, relapse, and waste of money, let's talk about which types of rehabs you should avoid at all costs and why. Hello, brave hearts! My name is Svetlana Rudovska, and I help families navigate addiction with clarity, strength, and love. And today we're going to talk about why some rehabs can fail, why they don't work, and which qualities can make a rehab center effective. First of all, rehab center should be a place of healing. It's not only about physical treatment, but mostly the rehab centers are focused on quick results rather than on a long-term process of transformation. Maybe you have heard of the situations that someone loved ones have been to the rehab centers, but just after they have come back, they started using again. Nevertheless, they were talking about they were ready to change or things like that. Of course, the reason could be that the person wasn't ready to join a rehab, wasn't ready to say goodbye to the previous lifestyle. But there are some unprofessional rehabs. I know it can sound a bit devastating, but let's consider what you should draw your attention to before you bring your addicted loved one to a specific rehab. By the way, have you faced such unprofessional rehabs? Or maybe you heard of someone who has faced the same problem? Please share it in the comments. It might help someone. Okay, now let's go through 4 types of rehab centers or rehab programs which can fail and why. The first one is short-term detox-only centers. These rehab centers are mostly focused on detoxification or detox. This is when the substance user receives some treatment which makes him feel physically better. It helps to remove the substance from the body in order not to feel withdrawal or cravings, things like that. So some rehabs focus mainly on detox or detoxification. But this is a physical treatment, not emotional healing. Yes, getting drugs out of the body is a very necessary step. In some cases it is a must, but for sure it doesn't influence the problem because it leaves the body cleaned, but the heart remains wounded. People who turn to such rehab centers mostly do it just to remove the feeling that they are going to die because there is so much alcohol in their blood or there's so much substance in their body that they feel that they will not bear it, And this condition prevents them from living a normal life. They cannot go to work, they cannot do anything because their body is shaking, they feel terrible, and they need this physical treatment. This is why they order this service of detoxification, which generally lasts few days. They just cleanse their body and then they can get back to work, to their normal life, as they call. But detox doesn't change their mind. It doesn't remove the core issue, the problem, why people start using. It doesn't help them recognize the triggers, in which cases they start using again and again. It doesn't help them see that they need to change the environment. They have to change their mindset in order to live a life without alcohol or substances, a stressful life which everyone has in more or less the same conditions. The second type of the rehabs which you should avoid are shame-based or harsh programs. Yes, such rehabs exist, and I personally read a book of some quite famous professor who was writing a lot, who was investigating a lot the problem of the addiction. But when you ask him about the solution, how to deal with the problem, mainly all his methods was just to punish the substance user, to shame and use boundaries to bring the substance users down. So some rehabs build up their programs based on tough love, humiliation, and punishment. I know some rehabs where the substance users are kept in pits. They are given some food, some water, they can have some walk in the open air, but they live like prisoners here. I know also some places where people are kept in chains. But such approach is a failure because it is not built up on the respect to such people. This is why it is not the right way to treat them. They try to persuade that the substance users deserve the bad conditions of life and they deserve bad behavior because of the mistakes which they have made. Of course, most of these people have done a lot of wrong things. But what is described above, it is not a therapy, it is abuse. Type number 3. The type 3 is a rehab with no aftercare or family support. A lot of rehabs are very good centers, but if they don't have aftercare or family support, it can cause more opportunities to relapse. Many rehabs send people home without a clear plan what to do at home. Families don't know how to support, how to set boundaries, what to do, what not to do. And the person in recovery feels lost. You may say, why is it bad? This is their deal. This is not the family member's deal. But the truth is that the recovery starts after the rehab, when the person comes back to the real life. This is like considering the difference between theory and practice. When the substance user is at the rehab, he's learning some theory. He's trying to understand what to do if not to drink, how to react to the stress and other triggers without turning to alcohol or drugs. But when they leave the rehab, they face practical situations. They come back to the real life, real triggers, real situations. This is quite dangerous period of time. I'll share with you one story. One guy told me one story. When he was at the rehab for maybe half a year or so, when he came back, his family was so happy that they organized a party. And some people who were invited to the party brought alcohol with them. Of course, those who brought it said, okay, we're not going to share it with that ex-addicted one, but we want to celebrate this occasion. And of course, this first day of his coming back was his first day of a relapse. Type 4. One-size-fits-all programs. Such programs should not be that bad, but you should be careful about them. Such treatment centers provide their treatment to all categories of people, regardless of age, mental health history, family trauma, motivational level. They don't care actually. They receive everyone and provide the same program for everyone. Why? It doesn't work because addiction is a very personal thing. Recovery has to be personalized according to the substance user's needs and according to the problems. Some people have trauma-based needs. This is when people use drugs to numb their deep emotional pain. This pain can be caused by abuse, neglect, sexual assault, domestic violence. They need trauma-informed therapy. Other people have grief-based addiction. I know a lot of alcoholics who started using after they have lost their family members. And other ones start using after the divorce or a breakup. These people require therapy based on grief counseling. And finally, there are some substance users who have co-occurring disorders. This means that substance user has both addiction and some psychological disorder, for example, depression or anxiety or schizophrenia. Such people need addiction treatment and mental health treatment. So the key takeaway here is that before you turn to any kind of a rehab, you should better understand what exactly it means, what this rehab offers, which kind of treatment it provides. But still, if you feel confused and you feel you need a bit more information about how to choose a good treatment program for your specific loved one, I can offer you a course. The link on the course is in the description. Here I explain what difference there is between the rehab centers and how to choose the most appropriate one in your particular situation. So get on board. If you find this video helpful, hit a like, subscribe and share with those people who need it. And see you in the next video, where we are going to talk about how addiction counselors know that the substance user is ready to treatment. See you there.